Alyssa Brunt here from Drew Wellness. I'm your physiotherapist. Today I'm going to show you 3 exercises that can help with any lower back tension or hip discomfort. I'm going to show you an exercise for the front of the hip, the back of the hip, and then a general exercise for some lower back mobility. This is great if anybody sits a lot during the day, has an office job, or is just generally not active and doesn't know how to stretch. So yeah, I hope you enjoy them. The first one that I'm going to show you is for the front of the hip. Very important, the hip and the low back are really connected. We're going to work on what we call your hip flexors. There's a group in your quad and then another group that kind of works in the front of the hip here. So we're going to stretch them by coming into a kneeling position on the floor. It's important that your back leg stays nice and straight here. Back is nice and straight. You might have seen this exercise. A lot of people will lean into it this way, but we really want you to stay up nice and tall, back straight. We're going to rotate the hip. So from this position, I want you to think if you have a tail, and you're going to tuck that tail between your legs. This posteriorly tilts our pelvis, rocking it backwards. If you have really tight quads, you might already feel a stretch anywhere through here. You can feel it through this whole line, depending on where you have tension. If you don't feel it, you can squeeze your bum a little bit, push forward slightly. You'll see my back is still straight. And from there, if you want to deepen it even further, you can take that same arm, reach it above your head, and you'll feel a stretch through the front here. We're going to hold this for 30 to 60 seconds. All stretches should feel slightly uncomfortable, but not painful. And then you're going to gently come out of the stretch, and you can switch sides. That's the first stretch there. Second stretch that we're going to do is actually in sitting. This is great. You can do this at the office. You don't require any equipment. It's going to be for your glute muscles. They get very tight with a lot of sitting because they're constantly put on stretch. You're going to be sitting in a chair. You're going to come a little bit forward and you're going to place your foot on top of your knee. I call this stretch the figure 4 position because it does mimic the number 4 a little bit. From here, your back's going to stay nice and straight. You're going to hinge from the hips coming forward. You should feel a stretch right in that glute on the side that the knee is bent. If you're rounding your shoulders like this, you're not really getting any extra benefit, so make sure you keep that back nice and straight, save your posture, and lean forward from the hips. Again, 30 to 60 seconds, right? The last exercise, like I said, is a mobility exercise for your low back. Great, again, if you're sitting a lot, if you're driving throughout the day. You're gonna come onto your stomach, nice and relaxed. This is similar to a cobra pose in yoga if you're familiar with it, but slightly different. Your hands are going to come slightly underneath your shoulders and you're going to push yourself up as far as tolerated, keeping your hips on the ground and then back down. Again, I want those hips to stay on the ground, so if you feel like you're lifting yourself like this, you should be nice and relaxed. Pelvis should be nice and relaxed. And you're going to come up. This one you can repeat 10 times. Take a breath at the top. Really relax. I don't want your legs nice and strong. Really relax through the glutes and the hamstrings. And then you're going to come back down. Again, if you can only lift yourself up to this far due to comfort, that's totally fine. Work your way up into full arms. Again, if this is still too hard, you can relax into this type of position to get a little bit of what we call extension into your low back. All right, so like I said, these exercises are for any hip or lower back discomfort, but again, they are not individualized for any person, so you may not respond well to them. If you do have any lower back or hip pain, I would suggest going to see your physio, myself, to get a proper assessment and see what's good for you. Okay, thanks guys.